Okay, so I believe that recorded fine. I would press stop on it because sometimes the videos just like start breaking, and then I lose the whole video, which I didn't want to lose that. But anyway, so I'm analysing this clip that I'm making, talking about someone who's talking to his higher self, and he's getting advice from his higher self. I feel like what his higher self is saying is in a way teaching me to see some certain things so that I can explain it or talk about it and say where he's wrong, where he's right. But yeah, I feel like this video is part of the sort of matrix programming, because it's programming people into thinking that they are gods when they are not. And I think if you start believing that you are a god when you are not, you're going to start just getting a false perspective of life and a false perspective of yourself. You're going to start developing an ego that doesn't actually exist. Now, if you start developing an ego that doesn't actually exist, you'll be willing to take more chances. So if you believe that you can become a god by killing yourself, and you've been programmed to believe that you are a god, then you'll be far more likely and tempted to kill yourself. So I feel like even though this clip, I'll just go back actually a little bit to the clip. But yeah, even though this clip is wrong, and it's saying that the Matrix is something else. It's saying that the Matrix is something else, but I feel like it's doing it as part of the sort of Matrix programming. It's saying that the Matrix is all the things you learn. No. The Matrix is not the things you learn. The things you learn are the things that you choose to learn. The Matrix is everything around you, including the people who are teaching you lies. But that doesn't mean that the Matrix wants you to believe lies. I think God wants you to believe lies because she wants to test the people so that only the best souls end up staying on earth and wanting to show their dedication. You know, if you die because of a health problem or something you have no control over, then you just have to kind of accept that happened. But if you die because you've just believed a whole lot of lies, then God can see the lies that you've been choosing to leave and then choosing to believe, and then she can see how close you are to the truth and how likely you are to become a god. But yeah, there's another thing that I'd like to talk about at the end of this video, but I just want to first talk about this.
Simpler terms, the matrix is a program of all you've been taught, whether right or wrong, from when you were born to your current age.
So I would say that the Matrix is more than that. It's not everything that you've been taught, it's everything that exists. So there's a difference. Everything you've been taught is what the people have been teaching you and what you have chosen to learn through their teachings. But yeah, the Matrix is, okay, all that information, yes, so it's all those things. If the Matrix wasn't here, the people wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, nothing would be here, so you wouldn't have had these opportunities. So all of this is part of the Matrix, but yeah, the Matrix is not responsible for the things that you choose, the information you choose to take in.
Either from schools, religious centers, families, friends, social medias, movies, and so on. It all came together to form your world.
So how does the Matrix affect us?
Because the system was initially created for fun, growth, and self-development, but due to greed, it was corrupted by other players.
It's true that the Matrix has been corrupted by other players, but it's been corrupted by other players because other players want to do well. The worse you do, the better they do. It's like money. You know, if you want to become rich, you need to find a way of getting money off other people, and by taking money off other people, technically you're making them poorer so that you can become richer. It's cruel, but it's how money works. And okay, the people might be spending money because they want to make themselves, you know, if you need to make a car and want to make money and profit off that, you need to buy car parts. So you can buy things off other people that technically make you poorer because you're spending money. But at the same time, if your goal is to build a car and make profit on it, profit on all the parts put together in a certain order, you know, then technically you are becoming richer, even though you first become poorer by spending stuff. But yeah, this is that's just businesses. But yeah, I think on a spiritual level, you tell people lies, they believe lies, and the more lies they believe, the more corrupted they become. But the more corrupted they become, I guess it makes you look better because you aren't corrupted by the lies. You know, if loads of people are telling lies about aliens and they're all believing it and you're not, you know, the Matrix knows what the truth is and knows if alien beings have come into our atmosphere or not. And if people are believing lies, then it's going to see that as reasons to believe that they're stupid. You know, there are people who are seeing lies, believing lies, probably recognizing the truth but not seeing it or not understanding it or not seeing why the truth would be the truth and why the lies would be the lies, and therefore it's judging people's intelligence. And because the Matrix is trying to find the most intelligent souls, the more stupid other people are, the more intelligent you will look if you don't fall for the same lies. So
for their own selfish gain.
Corrupted? How?
Many of you grew up with wrong teachings, false information.
So wrong teachings, false information, things that this video is teaching you. It's teaching you truth, but it's also teaching you lies. And people are being brought up with these lies, and you need to learn to tell the difference between the two.
And harmful programming.
So how can I go beyond the matrix?
The answer is to step out of identification from everything you once knew.
So how do I step out of my...
I think you do that by recognizing your life and the things that you've been taught in your life. E.g., if you've been brought up by a father who beats his wife, you know, you might have been taught that it's fine because your father thought it was fine to beat up your wife. You might have been brought up with some sort of programming. Why would he think that was okay? You know, why did he do that? Oh, the wife was talking and she shouldn't have been talking. Oh, okay, so if women talk, we can beat them up. Okay, but stepping out of the Matrix programming is to step out and be like, but if I was her, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. That wasn't fair. You're stronger than her. That, you know, all these reasons, and that's when you start getting smart and start stepping out of your current programming. You know, if you're a black person and you think that you were enslaved in your past because all black people were, you know, stepping out of the programming could mean to actually be like, but was I black in the past? You know, this slavery of black people happened mostly in the past. And because I wasn't alive in the past, but maybe I was, you know, maybe I was alive in the past and I was a white person who was enslaving black people, and now that I'm a black person, maybe the reason why I'm a black person is because I was one of these people who enslaved others. And getting out of the programming would mean to stop seeing yourself as being a black person just because you have a black body currently, and stop seeing, you know, your history as being the black history, because technically if you were in a different body you wouldn't have been black, or there's a high chance you wouldn't have been black. I think sometimes though, if you have strong family ties with coloured people, there's a high chance that you might be coloured again, because you would want, you know, you like your parents, you like your mum, you like your sister, you want to stay in contact with them, and well, if they're all black then you might likely come back as black. So there is some connection. If you're black in one life you will come back as black, but that's only if you like the people who are of that colour, or if say you know that there's a lot of black injustice and you want to be black in your next life so that you can try and fight against it, you know. I don't think I wanted to be black, but at the same time I love black R&B and singers that sung in black, you know, Mary J. Blige and I guess Pink as well, but she has this sort of more black vibe, and there was a lot of R&B songs that I just really liked, and Whitney Houston, you know, I Will Always Love You song was always one of them, and because I thought of the black injustice, you know, in a way, when I was younger I did want to be coloured, and I love having tan skin as well. So you know, there's loads of reasons why your body colour will change, your race will change. You know, if you're someone who hates certain people for the wrong reasons, you might become that type of person in your next life, because it's a type of punishment. But yeah, stepping out of the Matrix is to realise that you're not just a Russian because you're born in Russia, you're not just a black person because you're black, but rather you could be anything, and that's stepping out of the Matrix.
My identification. Ask yourself, who observes through my eyes? Who is inside my body? Who observes my thoughts and feelings? The moment you begin to question all around you, you shift from being in the world to observing the world.
That's how it is. You shouldn't see yourself as being like who you are. a black guy. I'm a black guy, so I'm going to see myself as a black guy. No, you shouldn't see that. You should see it, who's in my eyes. I'm a person who believes this, who believes this. I think this, I think this, I think this. And this is who you are. Who you are is part of your belief system and what you think is the truth, and your ability to love others. You might have an attraction towards males, and well, if you're born in a male body, you might still feel that attraction. It's not that you're a gay person, it's just that you are attracted to males regardless to what body you have, and therefore that is who you are. You are not a gay person, you are just a person who likes males and you happen to be in a male body.
So how does that benefit me? When you switch to observer mode, you discover that everything in front of you seems like a dream. You can no longer be affected by what's happening in front of you. You can no longer fall into fear, doubt, or limitation.
That's not true. Once you realize that you are kind of just an observer in a body, that doesn't mean that you are not, people can still corrupt you, people can still hurt you, people can still make you feel bad. This is nonsense. Realizing that you're just a soul in a body does not actually change your ability to feel suffering. If you're hungry, you will go hungry. If you're a prisoner, you will feel like a prisoner. If injustice is happening to you, no matter how much you try and step out of your body, injustice is still happening to you. I always felt like a prisoner when I was at boarding school, and no matter how much I tried to pretend that I wasn't me, I was still stuck in the same circumstance, and I knew that I was there because of my dyslexia. My dyslexia is bad, but it was very bad when I was a child. Like, I struggled to remember things. So I feel like now that I knew that I was actually a cave woman in my past life, hence would have been a feral child. I would have been a feral child, and I probably would have invented words, word for snake, word for bear, whatever existed, I would have created words for, but I didn't actually speak English. And so because I had a life being a feral child, I'm wondering if the reason why my dyslexia was so bad when I was a kid. I didn't learn how to read until I was much later. I think it was about 8 or 9 that I could just barely read. I know I didn't know what the word "you" was at 7, but I could read, but it was like Biff and Chip books, Chip and Kipper books or something like that. But yeah, I feel like that happened because of the feralness that I felt before. Aaliyah, I think when I was 14, I relived Aaliyah's whole life, and my brain obviously didn't have dyslexia when I was her, and also I would have also had the first 14 years of my current learning. So not only would I have started from a more advanced position because I've just gone through 14 years of education, I was also didn't have the memory disorder that I have now. That's what I think dyslexia is a lot. I think a lot of it is a memory disorder, forgetting things. But yeah, this is what's he talking about? He's saying that to step out the matrix, your life is so much better, and it's not. It can actually be worse. If you see yourself as just being a soul in a body, it might make you feel worse because you might look around at everyone else who doesn't believe what you're believing and who is just like, white people are evil for what they did to our people. And it's just like, yeah, well, how do you know that you were a black person back then? Because I am a black person. Well, you might have not been before. No, I was. That's not true. You're believing lies. Yeah. Sometimes if you step out and start believing things other people don't, it actually makes you feel worse because they don't believe the same things as you. And living in a world where everyone's believing different things is like living in a hamster cage where there's one hamster wheel and everyone wants to go in a different direction to what you want to go in, and it's just causing problems. But anyway.
You now chase your dreams without being scared of the unknown. You let go of struggle and worries because you know you are playing and not surviving. Let go of the stress because you're here to explore, create, and enjoy. At the end of the day, everything is just an experience.
I agree with that. I think you should see Earth as being some kind of sim game where you can enter into it and you've got your sort of avatar, which is your body, and you're world is just for you to explore and to learn and stuff, you should see that as something.
That's true. Everything that has happened in my life in the past, to me right now, is just an experience. Yes, you can only think about the past or remember the memories. But what's important is the present moment. What do you want to experience now? So if everything is just an experience, so what's stopping me from creating the best experience of my life? You are stuck because you're waiting for the right move. The cheat code is to live as if you already have the answer. Okay. You don't need to stress about figuring things out. The God in you already have the map. So how do I play the...
If you can't get better in your life, it's probably because you either don't know how, or you don't really know what you want, or or other people can't relate to you. Like I've spent my whole life, or earlier life, trying to get a job and finding that no one responds. I can't do anything if people don't help me. Now, I don't know why no one was helping me, but sometimes no matter how much you can achieve, you can't do anything if people don't help you or work with you to achieve it. And I can't control other people's views or what they choose to do. And if they choose not to help you, if you want a job that has a high paid salary and they choose not to give it to you, you can't force their decision. I mean, maybe you can if you went in there and gave all the reasons why. People kept saying that maybe I shouldn't just give out CVs, that I should actually go to the company and actually show myself and make it hard for them to say no to me. But yeah, the thing inside, the words inside my head were always just don't bother, it's not worth it, just do nothing. Like that's always what the voice in my head said when it came to working. And I don't understand it, but when I try to understand it, I just feel incredibly tired and then lie. And now that I know that I'm God, I feel like maybe I'm supposed to just lie in a bed, because that is how the spirit is working. There's some sort of spirit that's channeling through me, trying to connect with lots of people, and that's my only role, to be in a bed and upset.
The game, knowing is a game, because right now I exist as two characters. The character, the spirit body that is experiencing and observing the game, and the physical body that's in the game. The key is to not see them as separate. Just like when you put on the attire of a masquerade, do you see yourself as a masquerade or as the one wearing the masquerade?
So here he's talking about his higher self and him believing that there's two hims. You've got the lower self that's in the game, in the world, the matrix world, and in the body, and then you've got the higher self that guides and leads and stuff. And I think he's confusing himself with his spirit. The spirit guides and helps and leads, and I don't think humans. They do have a higher self. Humans do have a higher self, but if the timeline is set to try and develop you and get you to a certain point in the timeline, your higher self is only going to be the self you are when you leave the timeline. But if you've got another 10 lives to go before you get to that higher self, then your ability to connect to your higher self is going to be very, very minuscule. I believe that I've got one more life to live, so when I die I'm going to be Lily, and then after that I believe that I'm going to be my higher self. If I'm going to have any other lives, I don't know. I mean, I can't really say for certain, but this life has been so shit that I don't want to do that. I'm happy being a ghost, and I want to be a ghost for the rest of my life. I don't even want to be Lily. So but yeah, I believe that I've got one more life that I'll be forced to live, because Asian people exist and I don't look like any of that. So where is that gene come from if I'm not going to be there? So that's going to be something that I'm forced to live through, unfortunately. But yeah, they are pretty. I believe I've got one more life left, and then I'll be able to maybe leave at that point. And if I can leave, maybe I can leave with others. Are there going to be more people staying? I cannot tell you. I don't know. But when people leave, this is your higher self. But how connected are you to your higher self? And is there a higher self? That is another question. There's 8 billion people on Earth. I do not believe that I can create 8 billion souls. I know that the Milky Way is a massive, massive place, and there's loads of stars, hence loads of potentials for there to be suns on there with planets that can be formed, and there's if my goal is to create 1 million gods and leave with 1 million souls who can go on and become and make their own timelines, then great. But if there's 8 billion souls on Earth and I can only make 1 million gods, that means that there's going to be a lot of souls that don't make it out of the timeline, and that's the sad truth. And therefore, to believe that you have a higher self, that's great, because that means that you're one of those million that leave. But 1 million out of 8 billion, that's not a high ratio. That's not a high chance. I mean, it is if you're an incredibly smart person who's achieved lots, because that probably means that you will be one of those. But if you're not, if you're just an average person who's believing lies, you probably don't leave the higher. Don't get into a different dimension. And if you can't get into a different dimension, then it probably means that you don't have a higher self. Hence, anything you're listening to is not going to be listening to your higher self. You're going to be listening to your spirit, a spirit that can't look after you because the universal spirit is looking after. The universal spirit isn't just going to look after the ones that become gods. The universal spirit is going to look after the majority. Why? Because the ones that become God, they can't become God if there's no one on earth to learn from, So there's going to be, I don't want there to be only 1 million people left on the planet at the end of this. That's not what I want, There'll be a ton of empty houses just falling apart, and I don't like seeing nice houses just rot. So, if you think about all the nice houses on earth, that's what I would love, all the nice houses to be full and all the ugly houses to just be taken down and turned into forests or something. But yeah, that's what the universal spirit is trying to work out. Not how many souls it can turn into gods, but rather how many souls can live on earth and have an experience. But yes, ultimately there are only going to be so many souls that can be turned into gods, and these are the souls that God is going to focus on. The universal spirit is going to focus on not just those souls, but helping those souls through other people. It's like EastEnders. When a character dies in EastEnders, or any other soap opera, it usually makes the other characters that survive a much stronger person, because they have kind of like the knowledge or the connection, this person died and this person died, but this is that person's son, or this is that person's cousin, and the more characters on these shows die, the more stronger and the more the background of the characters that are still surviving live. And I think that's how the timeline is. There's going to be loads that are just souls that are just going to experience and enjoy and feel and grow, but they might not actually get out of here, like a crab, a crab that makes billions of babies and only some go on to become adults. This is how it is for gods. Not all baby crabs become big adult crabs, and not all souls become gods. God, though, wants to focus on the ones that are going to become gods, and but the universal spirit is only going to just try and give everyone a fair chance to work out which souls are most right. Hence why I've come here to kind of teach you stuff, so that you can be one of the ones that have the most potential by listening to what I'm saying and hopefully agreeing or questioning me. If you think I'm wrong about certain things, I might be wrong about certain things, as that's possible. But yeah, that's how it is.
Okay, the issue is sometimes we forget and see ourselves as the masquerade.
You must not forget who you are, even while playing the masquerade.
So what do I do now? Because I believe we need money.
Sometimes it's not about remembering who you are, but becoming who you want to be. If you were a monster in your past life, someone who just killed savagely, there were so many rapists and people that bought sex slaves and stuff, remembering who you are could actually just mean remembering the monster that you were. So no, that's not the correct teaching. The correct teaching is remember the kind of person you want to be, or remember what you would want someone else to be, or someone. If you think about what you would want God to be, and then you become that because you think that's, it has to be a good type of God, not a bad type. But yeah, it's not about remembering who you are, because that's just teaching people to unevolve. No, it's about becoming what you want to be, or what you feel you need to be a good person.
And other material possessions to enjoy the game of life.
Scarcity is the greatest lie told by the Matrix to limit you.
How?
Abundance is your true nature. Food, water, and resources.
Saying abundance is food, resources, these are your...
are supposed to flow to you naturally.
So what's stopping it?
False programming.
Can you explain more about it?
Some of you grew up with lack mentality.
And what's that?
When you focus on limitation, believing there is not enough to go around. When you think small and afraid of taking risk. When you focus on competition, believing that one must go down for you to go up. When you micromanage, always believing that times are hard. When you are jealous, insecure, and
I'm not too sure what he's saying here, but I don't think a lot of this is correct. It's food and water are very important because they keep you alive, but at the same time there is more in life. But yeah, it's I'm not too sure what he's saying.
afraid to be your best.
Okay.
All those beliefs
I think it's getting people to want to take risks and take chances on things.
stops the natural flow of abundance.
That's true, because as babies, we don't even think of scarcity. Whether our parents are rich or not, we must eat and play.
Take a look at nature. There is abundance of everything. You cut down the tree, it grows. No scarcity of water, leaves, or food. The birds, fishes, animals, and even the microorganisms are taken care of. Then what's stopping you from being taken care of?
Sometimes I believe that some people are luckier than the others because they don't have to work so hard to get certain things.
Believing that you have to work so hard to get certain things is a lack mindset. All you have to do...
No, you need to work hard to get better opportunities. You need to be a better person so that the Matrix will put you into parents, give you parents in your next life that have that same sort of better attitudes. And it's not because they're lazy, it's probably because that they worked really hard in their past life. So yeah, this is, again, wrong teachings.
To do is align by taking inspired action, trusting the process, and staying present. Then you are able to bend your reality.
What do you mean by bending reality?
When you turn impossible ideas into reality.
I think he wants to teach people. He wants to teach people things. He wants to teach people that they can be better than they are. He wants people to think, to look up to him and to worship him like a god. So he thinks that by teaching people things, he can become a god. But yeah, I think he's teaching the wrong things, because you can't really bend reality. I mean, you can change. If your life is just struggling and struggling and struggling, you might be able to, I don't know, cheat on taxes or whatever. That might make your reality a little bit better because you have more money, but at the same time you've done it through kind of corrupt ways. But at the same time, if you feel that taxes shouldn't have been taken off you because you really need them so that you can develop your business or whatever, sometimes it's bending reality. But that's my telling of bending reality, where you do things that are kind of wrong but you don't think that they are wrong. Or I don't think taxes should be as high as they are, and I don't think that land should be more expensive than the buildings that are on the land. So at the same time, because of this, I think people want to cheat things or bend reality. But yeah, because reality is harsh and shit, and sometimes you need to bend reality to make it more fair, but at the same time you don't want to end up in prison over it.
Defy odds and move as if the rules don't apply to you.
How?
When you believe something is possible, even if no one else did. Most people take action based on what they see, but the masters act as if the unseen is more real than the seen.
I believe that sometimes you can make something more real by believing it, but at the same time, just because you believe in it, that doesn't mean it's going to be more real. I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be happy. Am I happy? No, I'm not.
They don't wait for proof. Their belief forces reality to adjust. They shift their vision and energy, even if logic says it's impossible.
So how do we know we're still living in the matrix?
When you displease yourself just to please others. When you choose jobs and ideas that do not align with your happiness.
No, you're in the matrix when you're alive.
Okay. When you let other people's opinions, social media, news, or friends control your life. When you believe that others have power over you, be it other race, culture, religion, teachers, pastors, dibias, celebrities, and even money. When you have to worship something outside of you, feel helpless.
If you believe that others have power over you, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I kind of want others to have power over me. Why? Because then I might be able to stop my higher self from cursing my life. Yeah. Sometimes it's not bad being under people, because you can learn from the people who are above you. Now, if I'm God, there's no one above me. But do you know how awful that is? Because it's like there's no one above me. Hence, if I want certain information, only I can give it to me. I can't look at anyone else. I can't say, oh, what did they do? What did they do? I look at other people that are below me and getting everything wrong, and then try and come up with some sort of conclusion about what's above me based on what's below me. But that's like walking in the dark all the time. So sometimes it's nice to know that there's people above you.
Even beg for what is rightfully yours. Great one, it's time to recognize the God in you and become the master of your universe.
Thank you.
This is going to be an epic adventure.
Okay, that was kind of interesting.